Hello everybody, welcome. These are 6 fragrances in my collection that are so good that I don't even use the originals anymore. Now, a couple of qualifiers for this video. I'm not saying that these are the greatest clones of all time, absolutely not. I'm also not saying that these clones in and of themselves are superior. I believe some of them are, not all of them, but in order to be in this list, I have to have the clone, and I have to have the original. And despite having the original, I still pick the clone. That's how we qualify this list, and I'll explain a little bit more as we go. So let's just start off. Number 1, in no particular order though. The first one, I'm going to introduce the original fragrance and then we'll introduce the clone. So the first one is by a niche house called Rouge Dove, and this is Elysium Eau de Parfum. And sometimes I'll get the original and then I'll get a clone just to see how close they got, and then other times I'll get the clone and I'm so impressed with the clone that I get the original. I got the clone before I got this one, and literally, I can't say exactly what I said when I smelled the original because I don't like when ASMR and cursing go together, but I smelled the original and my first words were, "You gotta be kidding me." Like, I would have kicked myself if I bought a full bottle of this, because the clone of this guy nailed it. It's so good. And the clone is from Fragrance World, Imperium. And this is also something that I want to state. None of these are going to be from Dua or Alexandria or one of those niche clone houses. That would defeat the purpose. A lot of Dua fragrances cost more than the actual fragrance. So these are all very cheap fragrances from mostly Middle Eastern houses. And this is Imperium, and this is such a loyal and faithful clone of Elysium for less than $20. What does Elysium smell like? It smells like a lot of things. It's got a lot of notes. Strong citrus, strong, complex fragrance. You don't know if you like it or you don't like it, but you can't stop smelling it. It's a very strange fragrance. It dries a little bit more acidic than I would like, and I like it on the top notes way more than the base notes, but it's a good fragrance. And Imperium does it, and it does it so well that I don't know if I'll ever reach for this. It's just, when you have, it's logical, it's common sense. If you have a fragrance that's $17, my sprays, I don't have to be conservative about it. I don't have to be constantly assessing how much money I'm spending per spray and everything. This is simple, quick, easy. Spray as much as you want. Who cares? That's number 1. Number 2. The house is Armani, and the fragrance is Aqua de Gio. Alberto Maria's masterpiece. Everybody recognizes the frosted bottle of Aqua de Gio, and it is a timeless piece. Salty, the original recipe had over 25 notes. It is a ozonic, aquatic, beachy, spring-summer fragrance. It was made off of inspiration, I believe, of CK1, who had the same perfumer, Alberto Marias. And set the stage perfectly for a lot of salty, aquatic type fragrances afterwards because of the popularity of this number one best-selling fragrance of all time, Aqua de Gio. What could be better than Aqua de Gio? Well, I wouldn't say better, but from the house of Belcam, we have Go. This is a $10-12 fragrance. The disservice of Aqua de Gio is it's an eau de toilette, as many 80s fragrances were. So the quality is just not so much greater and so good that it can't be replicated. Now, this opener is harsh. The first time you smell this, you're like, Aqua de what? There's no Aqua de Gio here. And then it dries down and you're like, what the heck just happened? Because it's identical just about. $10. What I love about this, these Belcam fragrances, throw them in your car. The bottles get messed up, who cares? The heat causes the fragrance to change, who cares? $10. I love this, and I love Belcam fragrances that do it well. We spend so much time and so much money on the Tom Fords, the Initios, the Surge-Offs. It doesn't cost a fortune to make a good fragrance. We often overlook fragrances that are really cheap, and this is one of them. So instead of Aqua de Gio, I wear Go. I spray it. Good car fragrance, good bathroom fragrance. Versatile. It's $10. You can spray it anywhere for any occasion that you want. Let's go to an insanely expensive fragrance. From the house of Tom Ford, we have Tobacco Vanille. A beautiful mix. Gorgeous tobacco, vanilla. Incredible performer, incredible projector. Oh my gosh. Crazy fragrance. Crazy fragrance. Crazy expensive fragrance as well. Celebrities love this fragrance. What that adds to its marketability or takes away probably depends on your opinion of the celebrities, but I loved Tobacco Vanille so much that I went out and I tried just about every single Tobacco Vanille fragrance that I could find, and I settled on this guy from the house of Maison Alhambra. This is Tobacco Touch. You can't see it because of the dark gradient of this bottle, but there's a decent amount of this stuff missing, which is crazy because this fragrance is so good at projecting and performing that you only need 2 sprays and you're good for 2 days on clothes. This attaches to clothes like crazy, which is crazy because this is a tobacco-based fragrance. Typically needs skin to bring it out, but this just works. Again, sweet tobacco and vanilla. It's simple, simple, simple. This is the bottle that I got was less than $20. I mean, cheap cologne. And I don't want to think what I'm spraying a Tom Ford fragrance. Spray, okay, that was $2. Spray, okay, that was $2. There's nothing that this does that can't be replicated, and this does a very good job of it. So, Tobacco Touch, like I said, cheap. These gotta be cheap. Next, we have from the Niche House, the most divisive among the fragrance community. Are they niche? Are they not niche? Because their fragrances that they produce are mass appealing, mass marketable fragrances, and they're niche by design, but A lot of people in the fragrance community don't love these people. And the house is Parfums de Marly. And the fragrance is Layton. They've created a lot of really good fragrances, but I think Layton is definitely my first love by Parfums de Marly. People who don't like this fragrance don't like that it has a bit of a mentholated opener that reminds them of a bit of like a Vicks vapor rub or cough drop. I love that. I love that fact about it. When it dries down, it's rich, it's complex, but it's still friendly. And I use this as my gym fragrance, so obviously I did not want to spend $200+ on this. These Parfum de Marly bottles always crack me up because the caps weigh more than a full bottle does. So when you have the bottle, you're like, this is heavy. You take this off, you're like, is it empty? It's just, this is so heavy. So, Layton. Let's see. I don't know if I've ever tapped on the Layton. What do I have that could equal Layton? Well, the one that I picked is from the house of Haramain, and this is called Detour Noir. And it looks like urine in a bottle, I know. The cap is weird, the bottle is strange. And if I can get it off without making a ton of noise, I can show you. So, I love the DNA of Layton. I wanted to make it a gym scent. There's no way I was going to use Layton for a gym scent, so I looked for every type of fragrance, Layton type fragrance, and this is the one that I picked up. That mentholated note is amplified. It's even more mentholated, if that's the thing. It doesn't change very much and doesn't get rich and complex like Layton does, but I adore it. And when I got it, it was $18. So there's, I believe, $25 now. And a very good offering. Is it the most loyal to Layton? No. It changes a couple of things, but this fragrance I wear, Layton I don't. And just the honest truth, and it's a wonderful fragrance. Wonderful fragrance. There are some fragrances that truly I can't find a clone that I like as much or more than Angel Share. I've tried them all. I can't find a clone that I like more than Angel Share. Creed Aventus works so well with my skin. I can't find a clone that works as well. You just can't reproduce some things, but some things you can. I found Tom Ford is particularly easy to reproduce. And we have another one here. This is Noir Extreme, the Eau de Parfum. I do like this bottle. You have the T and F, Tommy Fowd. Tough fudge. You could also say that. I don't know why you would, but you could. Don't make that fool you into thinking this is a high quality bottle. It is not. They use the cheapest of plastics. And this fragrance is an interesting fragrance. I think it leans a little more masculine, but it's unisex. And sort of a rich, complex, day-night type Tonka-esque fragrance. Kind of waxy from the Tonka bean, but it's also a little bit mature. This is a day-night type fragrance, and it's a good fragrance. It's not massively expensive, but it's not the greatest performer either. So, what do we have instead of Noir Extreme? Because I love Noir Extreme. I wanted to wear it, but I went looking for an alternative, and I found this guy from the House of Armaf. This is Odyssey Home. This is the black version, and this guy comes off sweeter, and spicier at the top. It dries down very similar, lasts longer, and projects better than Noir Extreme. And did I mention that this is a 200 ml? And I paid $25 for this. Insane. Again, this is a small guy, but even this, over $100. That $25. That's a no-brainer. If it can replicate it, that's one thing, but this, I think, outperforms it. It's a no-brainer. $25. Come on now. Lastly, we have another fragrance, a hallmark fragrance that people love, people hate, but regardless, people give it its dues as being one of the greatest niche fragrances, and this is from the House of Mancera. Red tobacco, very strong cherry tobacco fragrance. Immediately puts you inside of a cigar shop. Immediately. Most tobacco fragrances don't do that. Their notes, complexity, adding different elements into the fragrance, but not putting you into an actual cigar shop. You know, that's kind of crazy. I could see someone wearing this and someone mistaking them for just, smoking something. Like it's that loyal to cherry tobacco. But divisive scent, not everyone's favorite, and not fit for confined spaces and warmer months, in my opinion. What do I have? From the House of Armaf, Hunter Killer. And this fragrance not only cloned red tobacco, but it changed it ever so slightly. And what it did was it gave red tobacco more sweetness. It already had fruity notes in it, hence the red part, that cherry, but it amplified it and it made it sweeter. Tobacco as a whole typically dries down very earthy anyways. You need the sweetness and you need the balance. There is no such thing, nor will there ever be such a thing, as a mass appealing tobacco fragrance. But this is as close as it gets, and the very first time that I wore this, I was walking in a line, and a lady about 4 feet behind me, because my scent trail is strong with this. It has a strong fragrance. Lady stopped. She goes, "Oh my gosh, who is that? What is that smell?" And then she's like, "I think I really like that, but I'm not sure." And I'm just like, that's red tobacco. That's these tobacco fragrances. I think I love it, but I'm also not sure. And it was this. And from the second that I got that compliment, I'm like, totally changed my way of thinking, because I truly did not believe that a tobacco could be a mass appealing compliment getting fragrance. And this totally changed my mind about that. And when I got this, it was $22. I don't know why this did not catch on more. I don't know why. And there are other fragrances from the Hunter line, also very, very good as well. But you'll see this. Every fragrance that I have here did one thing that allows a fragrance to compete with the original, and that it at least maintains the same concentration. I see fragrances try to clone extracts, for instance, and do them in an eau de parfum. It just doesn't work. You're always going to prefer the higher concentration fragrance. You're going to think it's better quality. It projects and it performs better as a typical rule. And so, how can Go do a good job at replicating Aqua de Gio? Because they're both eau de toilettes. Both of these eau de parfums. But if I were to get the intense red tobacco that was an extrait, this probably wouldn't compete anymore. So there's a lot of different things you have to look at when finding clones and matching them, figuring out if they're worth the money, but because they are very cheap. The answer is most of the time yes. But not every time. Not every time, certainly. My favorite that I wear all the time is I put more time into. Put more sprays down the nozzle on this one. Followed by this. Followed by this. But I just got Imperium and Odyssey, so that could change. That could change, and that could change quickly, so thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all on the next one. Until then, be well.